Hello, and welcome to the Shining Light Podcast. This is a platform where we let our individual light shine through our personal testimonies of the restored gospel of Jesus Christ and the many blessings it brings to our lives. Here's our host, Dontrell Morrow.
All right, thank you for joining us for another episode. I am excited today to be joined with two missionaries from the Texas Houston East Mission who are serving in the Spanish mission part of the area. We are in, I think this is Pasadena, Texas, and I want to first give a shout out to all the missionaries serving out here. It is so great to have you guys and gals out here giving us of your time and service. And so these two missionaries, Elder Shaw and Elder Blodgett, are going to give us a little insight about just what it's been like to be on a mission and some of the things that they've learned. So first, I want to start by asking you both to share a little bit about yourselves and where you're from, some of your favorite hobbies you had before you came out on the mission, and what ultimately made you decide to serve. So, Elder Shaw, we'll start with you.
Sounds good. All right. So I am from Bentonville, Arkansas. Some people know it as the home of Walmart. So there's a lot of, so it's one of the few built up places in Arkansas. And it's a lot of fun. Good weather up until the summer. I think it's a little warm. But I don't know. I always loved reading books and writing outside in nature. After school would be, and after work it would be a little relaxing way to de-stress for me. But yeah, I worked at a bakery, so that was kind of fun.
Nice.
So that was kind of what I did after school, and I also enjoyed going to school, learning kind of the basic stuff before my mission. The reason I decided to go on my mission, though, was because during high school, like a lot of people do, I kind of had a tougher time trying to work through that. I was very stressed with school and with work and all the different things that were happening in my life. And kind of a cool thing that happened for me is I had been taught as a young boy that if I was struggling, I could turn to God and that I could find help. And I don't think I really put that to the test until I was in high school and I was actually really, really struggling. And I was trying to figure out, why am I having such a hard time right now? And it wasn't until I realized that I wasn't doing the basic stuff, like reading the Bible, reading the scriptures, saying my prayers, going to church on Sundays, that was what really I was missing in my life. And once I started doing those things again, I was able to feel a peace enter into my life. And it wasn't like all the bad stuff that was happening or all my stressors, I guess, all the things that were stressing me out at the time. None of those things went away, but it did just become easier for me. And realizing how much this helped me and how much peace it brought into my life really gave me a desire to teach that to other people and to offer this as a way to help them because I saw how much it helped me. And I know that as we really try to reach out to God, that's when he reaches out to us. He's not going to reach out to us if we're not trying to get closer to him. He's not going to force us to love him, I guess you could say. But he wants it to come from us, for us to reach out on our own to love him. And we as missionaries kind of show people, how do we show our love to God? And how do we become closer to him if we're hoping to do that? Is that kind of what you're looking for?
Absolutely. Thank you so much for sharing that, Elder Shaw. Elder Blodgett?
Yeah, so I am from Salt Lake City, Utah. Technically Mill Creek, not actually part of Salt Lake, but in the area. Let's see, I love to ski. Oh my goodness, it is amazing. And living in Salt Lake, it's a good place to live if you like to ski. So I do that, especially with my friends and family. I really liked to, I still do. I really like to read. I really like to spend time with friends and family. And let's see, before my mission, I worked at a soup, salad, and sandwich cafe and made sandwiches. So, yeah, it's pretty fun. Kind of why I decided to go on a mission Well, I'm going to be actually completely honest. I feel like a lot of it for me was just because it's something that you do. And I don't know if I really knew exactly at first why. I didn't really think much about that aspect of it, I guess. It's kind of the culture, right? In Utah and in my family. But as I've been on my mission, I have realized more and more why I'm here. One experience that I had that kind of really showed me, I guess, why I'm on a mission and what it means to me is the first day I was set apart as a missionary, and just it was all weighing down on me. It was in the middle of one of the worst parts of the whole coronavirus quarantine, whatever. I was feeling really bad about that, and I was just like, man, why am I even being a missionary right now? I don't feel very good about this. And so I decided to pray to God and just feel some comfort with what I was doing and maybe some guidance on if it was the right decision. So after I prayed, I just got the thought that I should read the scriptures. I was like, okay. And I just kind of randomly flipped open my Bible and I read the story of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego in Daniel 3. And basically what happens is the king says to Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, hey, if you don't worship this idol, then I'm going to throw you guys into the furnace. And Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego say, no, we're not going to worship an idol. We only worship God. And we know that God has the power to save us. But even if he doesn't save us, even if it doesn't turn out okay, we're still going to worship God. We're still going to have trust in him. And that story hit me really, really powerfully. I could feel God speaking to me, and he was saying that, I didn't necessarily know what the outcome of my mission was going to be. I didn't know exactly where I was going to end up, because I was actually not called to this Houston mission originally. So I was worried about that. But the story helped me realize that it's about faith. It's about trusting God. And that's kind of why I've stuck with it, I guess, is learning to trust God. And I felt so good after reading that, right? And I want others to feel that same feeling, feel that peace and that faith that comes when we trust in God.
Thank you so much for sharing that. Both of you being so candid and so open, I really appreciate it. And as I listened to both of you, I realized it's so remarkable that you two coming from different areas in the country but yet having the similarities of being able to work, sounds like both in like a food, like restaurant environment where you're doing it. That's awesome. And both like reading and writing. Those are things that personally I can relate to, and especially having a hard time in school. It was a struggle going through bullying and those kind of aspects of things that I didn't like. And also going on my mission, it was a challenging decision just because I had to really like know that it was for, the Lord, and I had to come to that myself. And kind of how you had that happen. Yeah. One of the things that helped me was just knowing, I think the hymn is, I'll go where you want me to go. When I first heard that, combined with my patriarchal blessing, it was those things that just kind of put things into perspective. And so, and it was something that, continued to come over time, even with that. And so, Elder Blodgett, you mentioned the COVID-19 pandemic that we're all still currently in November of 2020, still in the middle of. Hopefully, it'll be coming to an end soon. I mean, we've definitely done what we could as hope for that. Right. We've done what we could. We followed the prophet. We prayed. We fasted. We did those things, and we're just having faith and hope. But what are some things that you've seen now that you've been able to really try your your faith and being out here on a mission? Like, how have you seen yourselves personally grow from that?
I think an interesting thing that kind of came to me was from the "but if not" kind of the story that Elder Blodgett was sharing, that we're always waiting for that end to come for COVID, and obviously I don't think that'll be forever. I think there will be an end eventually, but I think we should really try to change our attitude from "but if not," right? What if things don't go magically back to normal like we're kind of hoping for? And I know for me that's kind of a very scary thought. Like, I do not like to think about that all that. But I think it's important because we don't want to be the same people that went into the COVID. I mean, when we have tough things happen in our lives, we want to get something out of it. We don't want to just make our way through it. We want to be able to change. I know for me, I kind of picked up a new hobby during this pandemic. One thing that I kind of got into is it's called family history. And it's basically where you're looking for the names of your ancestors and you're trying to learn more about your family and the people that came before you. And so through that hobby, I was able to learn a lot and be able to grow a lot from that. And kind of added a lot to who I was. I also got stronger. There's a lot of tough stuff that happened during COVID to me and my family. And kind of, we like to talk about it, you can go two ways. You can either become stronger or you can give up and become weaker in those times. And I like to think, for the most part, I try to become stronger during those times. I don't know. Do you have anything to add about it?
I mean, I think it's just shown me that the world does not revolve around me, if that makes sense. You know, I wanted things my way, and I wanted it now, sort of, especially before my mission. And I've kind of learned that sometimes that's not in the cards, you know. God has a different plan for us, I suspect probably for most of us, than we can imagine. And again, it just goes back to trusting in him and trusting his plan, that it'll turn out for the better.
I completely agree, and you're right. This whole pandemic has shown all of us, I think, that we're only as good as what we can plan, but we can't plan on things to ever go the way that we hoped they would. We realized we were on, I think, someone else's timetable and plan, which is a great reminder. And there were a lot of things, even looking back, that I realized myself that seemed like horrible things at the time, and they weren't pleasant in a lot of cases, but it was just helping me to personally see all of the other things that were possibilities that I wouldn't have even considered looking at before. So I love you talking about your hobby and, you know, talking just about how you want to do more. You want to see things like in the way of how the Lord wants them to be for you. So I guess what would be something that you would say that you've seen on your mission, like a miracle that you've seen through either your service or through observing other people, you know, in the service of the Lord and the church, the people that you've been able to either teach or work with alongside in your wards? What's something that sticks out to you that, you know, that you'll forever keep with you as a personal testimony?
I think for me, I just saw the types of how committed people were, really. I think when we have things like this really shake us, it really makes us all rethink about what we really believe. At least for me personally, it was like, oh shoot, like this is not fun. Like, what does God really care about me? That kind of idea going through my head, and I think it really kind of, in a way, shows who's really committed and who's going to really keep trusting and keep trying to trust in God and be hopeful for your future. And I think for me, that was something that really stood out to me is that from the members, is we see people, you can see the progress of people becoming stronger as they continue to hope in God, and you can also see the progress of people who kind of back off and who get really discouraged. And so I think learning that I want to be one of those people that pushes through that has been a huge example to me, and being able to see the good influence that all these people have had as they try to not only go through their own tough experiences, but also help other people along the way, and be able to, instead of thinking about themselves, reach out and help other people even while they're struggling.
So I'm pretty fresh in the mission field. I've only been here a couple of months, so I don't know if I've, seen a ton of like crazy progress or changes with the people that I've met so far. But let's see, I do have kind of a dumb miracle.
There's no such thing.
No
as a
such
dumb
thing.
miracle.
Right. It really showed me how God cares even about the little things. It was I think it was literally my second or third day of being a missionary. And normally you'd be down at the MTC, right, with thousands of other missionaries. But instead, I was just at home because of the pandemic. And, actually, I wasn't at home. I was at a friend's house who was also doing the same thing. We were kind of doing the missionary training together. Just from our homes, we would do video calls, whatever. One thing we'd like to do is we went on walks every night around the neighborhood. And we came back from a walk one night, and my friends, it took us a while to realize, but he had lost his missionary name tag. He's like, oh no, like, we have to go look for it. So we kind of retraced our steps throughout the neighborhood of where we had been walking, and we couldn't find it anywhere. We looked in some bushes that were in his front yard. We looked all through his house. We couldn't find this tag. And, it wasn't a huge, devastating thing, but my friend was still kind of upset about it. He'd only been a missionary for a couple of weeks as well. He was brand new. And so we were like, okay, I guess we'll worry about it tomorrow. And the next morning, we kind of did the same thing. We were looking, and literally, we went all over. We could not find it. And then I had the thought that maybe we should pray about it. And so my friend said a quick prayer, heartfelt, and literally he turned around and the name tag was sitting right there on this bench that, like, out in the open this whole time. And it was just right there, literally right after we prayed. It was crazy. And I don't know, that experience showed me that God comes through on our prayers, I guess. He cares about like the little things in our lives too, not just crazy life-changing events, but maybe he won't answer our prayers so directly, so neatly every time, but that experience kind of showed me that he's watching out for us. He cares.
Absolutely. That's a wonderful testimony of the power of prayer. Definitely not a dumb miracle, quote unquote. Like, that was wonderful. You sharing that story reminded me of a time when I was in college and I lost my car keys, which is, I never really lose my stuff like that. And I could not think of where they could be. And I looked everywhere frantically, went to school, a class, came back, looked everywhere frantically, and then decided to pray because I felt the same thing like I should. And when I did, the Lord showed me in my mind where they were. And I just like, I instinctively knew, like they had fallen like between the couch, but they had fell through a hole that was in the couch and was underneath. Now, I don't know how I knew exactly how to go to that spot because it's not like I'd ever looked under there before. But for some reason, I knew that's where they were. And it was after I prayed. So it kind of reminded me, that experience is kind of like how Joseph Smith said that when he prayed and Moroni showed him where the place were, he just instinctively knew where to go because he had seen the place in his mind. And when he saw it, he recognized it, kind of thing. So that's a power of like definitely personal connection and revelation through the Spirit. So thank you for sharing that. I guess, something that I love to ask missionaries, especially like our seasoned missionaries and our newer missionaries, I think the answer is going to definitely be one of honesty and inspiration. But in closing, what is some advice that you would give to some prospective individuals who may be deciding whether they would like to serve a mission or not? Because we've talked a lot about the different upheavals and the different obstacles that we face this year with COVID, and like we're hoping for something new, like, Shaw said, we don't know, like it could continue. But if that is the case, then people who are trying to decide if this is something they should add into an already uncertain and, situation, what advice would you give them from your own perspective of being a missionary now, of how they can know for themselves and, what you've been able to learn personally from this service?
I mean, I don't want to be trite, but I think, as you'd expect, like, we would want people to go. Like, I mean, because it's a really cool experience, but more so than anything, I mean, I think during COVID, at least when it started, everything was in a freeze. And even though missionary work wasn't quote unquote as effective as it used to be, I mean, it was still felt a whole lot more useful than a lot of the rest of the world, right? Like, we could still be doing a lot of stuff, and I was still doing something, I guess. So I think a lot of people have the fear of, I'm going to go and not do anything as a missionary. Well, what are you doing at home? Like, I mean, we're still kind of in a situation where college isn't as fun right now. I mean, you're stuck at home on doing a lot more online classes in a lot of places. I mean, really, this is the time to be on a mission, because you feel like you can really be doing a lot more than you can be doing at home. And obviously, that's not like the only reason you want to go on a mission, but that's a good thought to have. I think really it is a really cool opportunity to learn. And I think I've seen COVID open up so many hearts that you really do see a lot of cool changes coming right now. We're in a changing form of missionary work. You can't go track like you used to. And sometimes that can be really hard, but I think it's a really, really cool time. And you would really have the chance to not only grow closer to God, but really help a lot of people who are searching right now more than any other time in their lives. I mean, there's a reason that we talk about things happening in the Book of Mormon or the Bible where disasters happen or wars happen, and these people are humbled because of it. And I think that's definitely what's happening with COVID, where we're having a lot more success touching people's hearts and really being able to reach out to them as missionaries. It's almost, I mean, it sounds bad to say it, but it's almost like something we would hope for, right? Like, we get to have people finally open and wanting to learn more about God, wanting to get closer to Him because of the pandemic. And so I think now, I mean, it's a great time to come out on a mission, because you're really getting to see some help. You're getting to help a lot of people. It's hard, but it's not any harder than what you're doing at home already, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. But yeah, did you guys have any other thoughts? Did you have any thoughts?
Yeah, I was just thinking, kind of reminded me of something my cousin said to me. This was probably back in, I can't remember if it was before coronavirus started or after. It was before I became a missionary, at any rate. And I kind of asked him, how can I prepare to be a missionary? How can I know if it's right for me? And I was kind of expecting him to maybe send scriptures to study, or to look at Preach My Gospel, the missionary kind of handbook we've been given, something like that. But what he said really made me think. He said, don't worry about getting to the scriptures and studying them. Don't worry about reading Preach My Gospel, reading all the rules that we have, all that sort of thing. Instead, he said, try and become more like Christ, because that's really what being a missionary is all about, right? Is yourself trying to become more like Christ and bringing others unto Christ, which in turn helps you become more like Christ. And I think the closer that you get to Jesus Christ and God, first off, the more guidance you're going to have, right? If you're making an effort to reach out to them in faith through prayer, through scripture study, through trying to act as they would act, those things are going to help you receive more guidance through the Holy Spirit, right? So if you're trying to figure out whether a mission is right for you, I would say, give being Christ-like a try. Or if you're already doing it, then maybe try a little harder and see how it makes you feel. See if you can fill out extra guidance from the Spirit. And honestly, I mean, as missionaries, we tell people to do this all the time, is to pray and know if you should do something, right? And I think that definitely applies for deciding on whether or not you should serve a mission. Pray and see what God thinks about it, because I mean, ultimately, He knows what's best for you, right? I do love what Elder Shaw said. My companion, I'd like to testify that that is true also, and that, I mean, everyone is needed. Everyone is useful in the mission field, and you know, you will be making a big difference and changing others' lives. And I mean, it's an amazing experience. It really is. And I know that, I mean, hey, it may or may not be right for you, but if you do make the decision to become a missionary, it will change your life, and it's really awesome. So, yeah, kind of a couple thoughts there, but.
No, thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you both. And you're right. It does. It'll change your life, and it'll change, your personal life as a missionary with those experiences that, you'll learn no other way. And I've heard it said, and I know we all have, when the prophets and the apostles have said that this is a chosen generation. And, doing this interview and these interviews, it helps me to see more of that, because Elder Shaw, like you said, you guys are setting and opening the path of this new way of missionary work. And this is the bedrock and the foundation that future missionaries are going to have to go off of, what you are trying and testing and working through, which is honestly what we read about, something Moroni even says, to have hope. And we don't see the blessings until after the trial of our faith, and just to keep trying and to keep doing that. And so y'all are doing that, your district, the mission, just wonderful, wonderful young men and women. And so I want to thank you both, personally, Elder Shaw, Elder Blodgett, for helping me and sharing these things with me, because I feel enlightened, and like I've learned a lot to really be thankful for coming into this Thanksgiving. So
Thank you, Don. Thank you.
Yeah.
I've learned a lot, so that's been really good.
Yeah, thank you so much. This has been really cool.
no problem. Thank y'all. And for everyone listening, thank you for joining us, and we will have more inspirational messages to come soon.
Thank you for joining us on today's episode. Please join us again next time.